Smirks on his feet. He looks up and gives me a grin and says, "Hey dude, you too must be from Marin." Marin County's A-OK, from Tam to Stinson all the way to MA. Fresh organic veggies in the market every day. The Dennis, Dylan, and NWA.
This is the Run TMC podcast. That is the Run the Marin County podcast about basketball in Marin County. I am Duffy Ballard, and with me, as always, is basketball guru and coach and friend Dave Levine, and we are on to episode 14. How are you feeling about 14, Dave?
Duff, I'm great. I'm happy about it, and I'm now looking on Basketball Reference for famous players who wore number 14, because I could think of Dan Fouts in football, but basketball, no 14s jump out at you, right, Duff?
No, that's true. And I was just actually having this conversation with someone yesterday about the number 9 and whether we could think of any really good basketball players with the number 9, which, by the way, is the number of times that Draymond is going to get ejected this year. It's going to be at least, that's over under right now, is 9.
Yeah, he wishes you could get 9 fouls in a game. Okay, Tyler Hero is 14.
Okay, all right.
That's a more
What about
modern
9? Do you have a 9 for me?
Let's think 9. Was Eddie Jones 9? I'm not looking at it. I'm bragging. Here, wait. Select number.
3? Was he 3?
I don't know. Listeners,
all
if
right.
you have suggestions on 9 or 3, Kent Bazemore is 9, Duff.
Okay,
Obviously.
all right. Yeah, nice lefty stroke. Well,
the great Kent Bazemore.
We're already stumped and we're already off topic, and we're only a minute and 30 into the podcast. So setting new records here on episode 14.
Okay, moving on.
Let's get into it. Marin basketball update. We appreciate the correspondents doing the work for us out in the field. We are going to first summarize what we heard from Johnny Kearns, who was at San Rafael Terra Linda rock fight this weekend. And that was a back and forth game. San Rafael was leading most of the game. Gio Bravelli had another big game. Terra Linda came all the way back, and they took the lead on a corner 3 from Chase Adelman, who's been putting up big numbers. And then San Rafael took it to overtime with free throws at the very end of regulation. And then back and forth, TL won at the buzzer on a baseline floater. So good win for Terra Linda, a rock fight and heartbreak for San Rafael. And then, unfortunately for San Rafael, but fortunately for us, Dave, we played them last night, and it was another rock fight. Would you like to hear about it?
I would love to, Duff.
Okay. Well, first, I want to give a shout out to the Marin IJ, Derek Wilson and Ian Ross. And
Yeah.
I have the job now, Dave, of either calling or writing in our sports briefs after our games, which we do more often if we win than if we lose. But there was the first time I did it, I called in and I wasn't sure whether or not, because it was late at night, I wasn't sure if it was going to get picked up. So then I looked on the IJ site, and they had the cell phone number. I called Derek Wilson. He picked up the phone at like 10:30 and took my report over the phone. So anyway, very cool that they do this, and very cool for the community. So thank you to Derek and to Ian. So this is what we sent in last night after our game at home versus San Rafael. Sophomore Alex Hamblett muscled in an offensive rebound with 2 seconds to go in OT, and the clock ran out on the San Rafael Bulldogs. Archie Williams, 5 and 3, and San Rafael battled back and forth all game, with Owen Bugas, 19 points, pushing the game to overtime with 6 seconds to go in regulation, and Gio Bravelli, 23 points, keeping San Rafael competitive until the very end in overtime. Archie Williams, also paced by senior Julian Nickel and sophomore Brian Wright, 13 points each, plays at TAM on Friday. So there you go.
Well, congrats, Duff. That's unbelievable. And I believe you guys have had, the boys have had 2 home games, and you've won both of them on buzzer beaters.
Yes, and both times we've had some crowd rushing the court. Last night it was the boys soccer team, all with their blonde hair, and there was a big mob on Alex Hamblett, who looked pretty darn happy. Very great kid, really happy for him. It was a really tough putback. and he muscled it in. So yeah, it was a good win. Good win, Dave.
I mean, that's what high school hoops is all about. So congrats. So last night I was actually at the Branson Redwood boys game, which was a really fun game to watch at Redwood. Branson beat Redwood 66-45. Actually, Redwood started off really well, and they were up early, and then Branson just went on a huge run. I saw somewhere they went on a 31-7 run to end the half, and Redwood just really struggled from the field, took a lot of threes, just couldn't find the range. They're really good shooters. I think this is going to be a better battle the next time they play. They play again soon, January 5th, in their first for a league game. And I would expect Redwood's going to make it closer because I think these are two pretty evenly matched teams. Branson just got the best of them last night. Yep. But fun game to watch, good crowd, good energy.
Yeah, they're ranked, Dave. I looked yesterday on Max Preps before the game. They were ranked 20th and 21st in the state, all divisions, and 3rd and 4th in North Coast. So two very competitive teams. And we'll note that last year, I believe Branson put it to Redwood in their first meeting, pretty good walloping, and then Redwood got him back in the second one.
Yep, absolutely.
So we'll see.
Will be fun. Okay, moving on, Duff, go.
Last item. So first of all, we would like to hear from more correspondents. We recognize we're going to be biased towards Archie Williams, as well as probably Branson, Redwood, and San Domenico in terms of our report outs, but call out to other people who are watching other games. We'd love to hear from you. You can send us a voice memo, you can send us an email, you can send us a text, and we'll get it into the podcast. So absent that for this week, I was up at Santa Rosa for the Santa Rosa Frosh tournament, 16-team tournament, caught a couple of those games, and I was talking to our friend of the pod, Tom Poser, and he suggested that in the final that we get a picture of all the Run TMC kids that were out on the floor. And by that, he meant that, as I believe we mentioned before, the name Run TMC was initially Tom's concept, and it was for our youth basketball program that we started out of COVID. And we did a couple summers and springs and summers worth of clinics and games and traveled around. It was a lot of fun. But in this final game, which was Redwood and Archie Williams, we had, I believe, at least 7 of our kids that had been in the program, including Max Nilsson, Wes Fitzpatrick, Olin Johnson, Eddie Poser, Nate Ryan, Dash Briggs, and then my son Holden. So it was fun. Redwood got out super hot, 28-6. They were up in the first quarter, scored 28 points in the first quarter, Dave, on their way to on pace to score over 100. And then Archie just scrambled back, one play at a time. It ended up being a dogfight at the end, and Archie got him in overtime by 2 points. So great win for them, and that Redwood team's going to be really good. And the Frosh basketball is fun to watch. There's some good players, they're competitive, good athletes. It'll be fun to see them develop over the next couple of years.
The skill level in Marin across the board, boys, girls, varsity, JV, freshmen, is really, really good. And maybe part of that is all the stuff we've been talking about on all our episodes about the skills training that's available now to the kids, and the fact that these kids are really working a lot. But I totally agree. Watching freshman games is really fun. And it's cool to see those kids thrive.
Yep.
I want to give one last shout out here, and then we'll move on, Duff. Avery Meyerberg for Branson is our podcast player of the week. She put in 37 points in Branson's win in a tournament. And including they were down 6, I believe, with 16 seconds left. And Avery hit 2 threes to send it to overtime and then hit free throw to win it in overtime. So Avery is just filling up the stat sheet and doing a great job. So shout out to Avery, our podcast player of the week.
Yeah, congratulations. Good job. Keep it going. All right, Dave, what time is it?
Oh, it's sponsor time, Duff.
It definitely is. All right, let's see. So we have 4 sponsors that we're going to run through on this episode. We're going to start with Karen Hortsmeyer. Just like Karen's coached athletes to victory, she's here to coach you to a successful real estate sale. Ready to sell your home or know someone who is? Karen brings the same expertise, strategy, and commitment to every real estate transaction as your trusted real estate advisor. She'll create a winning game plan for you for purchasing and or selling your home. Call Karen today at 415-794-4311. And guess what, Dave? If you meet her in person, what do you think she'll be wearing?
Oh, I'm sure she'll be wearing her Run TMC shirt.
I think there's pretty good likelihood. So yes, thank you, Karen, for being a trusted sponsor. And we're going to get your interview out very soon. It was a great interview.
Yes.
But yeah.
Great interview. Next sponsor, North Bay Basketball Academy, our friends at NBBA. NBBA provides quality instruction in all aspects of basketball with an emphasis on fundamentals and skill development. It's been really fun to see all the NBBA alums currently playing on college teams on NBBA's Instagram. Recently, they did a summary of some of the kids' recent exploits, and it's awesome. I think they have some like 30 ex-NBBA kids playing somewhere in college. So head over to www.northbaybasketball.com for more info on skills, sessions, camps, teams. But NBBA does a great job. So thank you for being a sponsor to NBBA.
Yes, and they have some camps coming up very soon.
Yes.
Early January, yep. All right, we're on to the Hub. We have some new copy from the Hub. And here we go. Serving 100% grass-fed beef burgers, and you can really taste the difference in the quality of this burger patty. The Hub has 23 toppings to choose from, so you can customize your burger with avocado slices, pickled veggies, or even a fried egg. Or just make it easy on yourself and choose a number 1 through 5 that are already on the menu. You can choose from a sesame, whole wheat, gluten-free bun, or get your burger lettuce wrapped. They always have a featured backyard burger, which changes every couple weeks and is usually a creative combination from the chef. My personal favorite is the number 4 chicken burger. It's not to be missed. I believe also Joe Eufrat, friend of the pod, I think he likes chicken burger too. So,
that's my order. Number 4.
Yeah,
I love it.
Number 4. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you, Hub. And then finally, our friends Jesse and Laurent. I saw the Shearings last night at the Redwood Branson game. They're fans of the sport. And they're sponsors of our pod. Jesse and Laurent is a gourmet, ready-to-eat meal delivery service facilitating family meals throughout the Bay Area, Sacramento, and North Tahoe region. Been around for 40 years with delicious and healthy heat and serve meals. And I have some new update from them. Jesse and Laurent want to make your holidays easy and delicious. We have a prime rib dinner feast that includes prime rib, whipped mashed potatoes, fresh cream spinach, delicata squash with roasted Brussels sprouts and cauliflower. Yes, Duffy. Wow. Not forgetting horseradish, creme fraiche, and classic jus for the roast. Damn, this is making me hungry. Wow. It's a crowd pleaser for sure. There's also a local artesian charcuterie and cheese platter on the menu that makes you hit the hit of any holiday party. And very important, Duff and our listeners, don't forget the special Run TMC listener code. I failed to mention this last time.
TMC20.
Enter TMC20, no space, for $20 off your first order. Thank you so much, Jesse and Laurent.
Yeah. Wow. I'm going to have to get on the website. It is www.jesseandlaurent.com.
Yes. And the Jesse is Jessie. Yes. Thank you, Duff.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. Glossary time.
Yep.
All right. Shall I start here, Dave?
Please.
Okay. Swim move. All right. This is a maneuver that is not unique to the sport of basketball. It is also used in football, in particular, by defensive linemen to rush the quarterback. I've seen Nick Bosa use it in a successful manner, among many other. But in basketball, it is a maneuver that is primarily used by an offensive rebounder, in particular in a set situation, for example, on a free throw line. And you can YouTube it. I'm amazed how many big men at the high school level I don't see using it because it's pretty simple to use. Essentially, you're taking your outside hand, so the hand that is away from the man who's trying to box you out, the defensive rebounder, and you're pulling it across your body and you're giving a little push. And this is a little push that occurs kind of as the shot's going up. So oftentimes the official's not going to see it because they're looking at the shot go up. And then your near hand, the hand that is right next to the defender who's trying to box you out, is going to swim over that outside hand and allow you to, at the same time, put your near foot in front of the defender. And so you now have inside position. So it's called a swim move because you're essentially swimming that inside hand over the space created by the outside hand. And if you're doing it all in one movement, and if you do it correctly, you now have inside position.
It's a great move. It's a great move for even smaller players to get position on bigger players and get in there and rebound. So That's a good one.
Yeah, especially if it's smaller, I think, because it doesn't rely on being stronger. A lot of times you just see, on offensive rebound, it's like you're just trying to push
Yep.
the guy underneath the basket, which certain people can do, but not everyone. And so if you are a smaller or even lighter player, especially if you have some length, that's a very effective move.
Yep. Awesome. Good one, Duff. Okay, mine is get action, G-E-T, get. Very simple action that you've seen a lot. It involves a guard typically passing to a post player at the top of the key, and then following the guard follows their pass and gets a handoff back from the post player. So it's like you throw the ball, you pass the ball, and then you go get it yourself. Very common action between guards and posts because it's essentially a ball screen, and you get a mismatch, right, where you have a small player getting screened by a larger player, maybe forcing a switch, and then you have a small player guarding a big player, right? So yeah. Steph and Draymond do this all the time. Steph will toss it to Draymond, go get it back from him on a handoff, and then that facilitates the offense. So get action, very common action that's used across high school, college, pro.
I used to love playing with Don Drake. I don't know if we talked about Don Drake, but great player, former principal at Drake. And we played in leagues together, and you just throw it to him at the high post, and you come get it. And he would just, even though he wasn't particularly wide, he was strong and bony, and he would just take out your defender. You get it back, you'd have an open shot. So
good stuff.
Yep.
All right, Duff, let's get to our guest, shall we?
We shall.
So this is a fun one. I will say this: if you're in a bad mood, just listen to this interview. So Dan Dibley is our guest. Dan is a Marin native and legend. By the way, Duffy was late to the interview, not reining me in, and I think I spent 30 minutes on Dan's background and intro. Mm-hmm. So I just went way off the reservation. But this discussion was exactly what we thought and hoped it would be. It was unstructured. It was funny. It was random. It was insightful. And at least for me, it was thoroughly entertaining. Dan's been 25 years Bay Area sports talk radio. He's one of the funnier humans I've ever met. So give it a listen, and then we can catch up after.
Yeah, great sense of humor. Linguist. I learned a few new words in that interview, and some great stories, and definitely some that you could dig into and spend a lot more time. But we'll talk about this on the outro, won't we, Dave?
All right, here we go. Here's Dan.
All right, we're going. Hi, Dibs.
How are you?
I'm great. We're here with Dan Dibley, which is, we are in the presence of a celebrity. I'm in the presence of a celebrity. Duffy's not here yet, Dibs. He'll be here soon.
I can't wait.
Yeah, he's imposing physically. So Dan Dibley, for our listeners, he's probably a familiar voice. He has been on the radio for 25 years, Dibs.
Yeah.
We're going to get into his amazing story. But yeah, Dibs has been a radio personality and celebrity for 25 years in the Bay Area. He's a broadcaster. He's charismatic, hilarious, amazing. And most importantly, Dibs is a listener of our podcast.
Love the pod. I've got butterflies right now. And I can't wait to meet Duff because between the two of you, you were like my Madden and Summerall for my walks to work.
Wow. You just lost everybody that's under the age of 40.
You can
that's
Google
okay.
it, kids.
Yeah, you can
You're
Google
fine.
it. All right, well, we're going to go through Dibs' background here. And then he told me to not give him the questions in advance, which I love because he's on the radio every day, so he does this a lot. And Dibs, I'm going to give you free reign to just butt in, correct me, embellish, add things. So, grew up in Marin, Fairfax.
Yep.
But Dibs was telling me before we started recording, across the creek from the Fulton family.
Yes, the Fultons were my second family. Larry and Sister Mo, rest in peace. Yep. They were ostensibly my second parents. I had free reign to go across the creek and let myself into their house. And Sister Mo, would be drinking her tab, which, again, you got to Google it, kids. It's
Diet Coke, kids.
It's an old school soda. It was Diet Coke before Diet Coke.
Before Diet Coke.
And then they tested it on laboratory rats, and turned out it gave those rats cancer, and so tab became taboo.
Yes, exactly.
Tab turned out to be short for taboo.
There we go.
But the Fultons were my second home.
Love it. So when we first started this podcast, Dibs, one of the ideas was talking about legendary Marin families. right? And Duffy and I literally have a Google Doc where we talked about our dream list of guests. You were on that list, I'm not lying. But we talk about families, the Bravellis, the Granucci's, the Haywards, the Chavezes.
Oh.
The Dibleys were on that list, as well as obviously the Fultons, right? So to know that the two of you across the creek, it's almost Shakespearean in how beautiful that is.
Dwayne, my father, rest in peace, and Larry Fulton played college basketball together at College of Marin in the 50s.
Wow.
And so in the 50s, it was, the early days, the nascent days for you kids working on your SAT.
It's a good vocabulary.
Of Marin, not only Marin County basketball, but Marin County in general. And so Larry and my father became fast friends, and they would eventually live near each other, raise their kids together. So the Fultons and Dibleys were always linked. And some of my earliest memories were going to not only CYO practices, but open gym at the Pavilion. When Larry would be holding court, my father would be out there as well, Chris and Mike Fulton, Mike and Doug Dibley, and various other, Fairfax, Cognoscenti, there's another one for you kids, including the Sayas and, Mike Davidson and so many other, the waiters, so many other families would all congregate at the Pavilion. And so me, as little Danny Dibley, which was my formal name back then, I was just kind of around this from the time before I could even walk, I was around these people.
So Dibbs, you're born in what, 70?
68.
68.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is like late 70s?
Even mid 70s, yeah.
Mid 70s. Okay.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, so I listeners, I think we've mentioned this, but Duffy and I met at the Fairfax Pavilion with Larry and Mike Fulton doing exactly what Dan is talking about, but maybe 15 years after that.
Right.
So this was going on for years where Larry Fulton would just find kids who wanted to be good players, and he just had a heart the size of, a cantaloupe, and he wanted to give back to the community. So he'd open up the Pavilion, and he'd work out with us.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
The Pavilion would be open, and, you didn't need a key because there was always a door that was open.
Right.
But you knew on Saturday morning that Larry would be there, and, my dad would be there, and, Dick Waiter Sr. would be there, and whoever else needed to be around basketball would be there. You'd go to the bakery first, which I know the bakery's not the bakery anymore, but the bakery would open at 5 a.m. for donuts, and so you get your donut and you walk up the hill to the Pavilion, and that's what you did. And it was cold and it was drafty, and there were two hoops, and they were both 10 feet off the ground, and the sneakers were squeaking, and the coaching was elite, and the basketball was great, and just that's what you did.
So today, kids, and not to say that one's better or worse, but just to equate it to today, you go and you line up a session with Kenny or Stevie Johnson or Mike Turner, and you go to the MBBA facility or you go to Terrell and you go into a gym, and you've got kind of a curated skills session, right? Back in the day, this is what we did. We found a coach who wanted to work with us, and the Fairfax Pavilion was freezing and dingy and crappy, but man, some of my favorite mornings in my life.
No doubt. And I like your use of curated, because back then it was also curated, but it was done organically. And that's the place that you went. And nowadays, the play datification of our society, and I'm as much a part of it as anyone, where I would never let my kid just go play. And, growing up on Cascade Drive in Fairfax, it was, get out of my house and we'll see you at dark. And that's just the way it was.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the world is scarier now, or if it's just that we know about Megan's Law and databases and all the rest of it. But we parent differently than our parents did. It doesn't mean it's better or worse. It is the way that we've gone about it. So I like your use of curated, because back then it was also curated.
Yeah.
But it was, hey, be at the Pavilion at 9.
Right.
And you just showed up or you didn't, and that's the way it went.
Yeah, we were kind of free-range chickens back then.
A little bit, yeah.
So speaking of, you mentioned CYO. Did you play CYO?
I did, yeah, St. Rita's.
Okay, who was your coach?
I had a number of different coaches. Actually, I played for St. Vincent's in Petaluma for 4th and 5th grade, and I'll get into that part of the story because it leads up to the Drake State Championship run.
Oh, beautiful.
The fact that, I was a Petaluma kid for a while, so was my brother Doug, who was a part of that state championship team, a big part of it. But when I came back to Fairfax, I played on the B team, and my father actually coached me one of those years, and we were terrible. I mean, we were god-awful. St. Rita's Bees, and, the A team wasn't great.
Yeah.
My crowning achievement, though, as a kid is in 8th grade, I finally made the A team.
Nice.
Turns out there might have been some shenanigans behind the
Oh,
scenes.
wow. Frozen envelope.
Well, my father
dealings.
was coaching the B team, and the story turns out was my father agreed to coach the B team if I would make the A team.
Wow.
So Tom McEntee, former principal and just a great, great man, rest in peace, he took me on the A team, led by Dave Scafani, who was the original Allen Iverson. Never saw a shot he didn't like or take. We were terrible. He was our star, but I made the A team, and I was coming off the bench, but I was never that much of a good basketball player. I was tiny, weak, and slow, and skillless.
But you have a great personality, Dan.
And a lot of heart.
A lot of heart.
And a lot of heart.
I'm excited that we're breaking scandals on this podcast. I mean, there's going to be potentially some lawsuits about
no doubt.
Dibley's
no doubt
placement on the A team.
And there's somebody who was put on the B team back in 1982.
Yeah.
And we're going 41 years later. I don't know what the statute of limitations.
The trajectory of that life changed.
Right. Exactly.
Wow. Okay, so A team, we'll put that in quotes.
Please.
And then I made a mistake, Dan.
Oh boy, embarrassing.
This is painful for me to talk about.
It should be.
Not quite as painful as not correctly making the A team, but painful nonetheless.
Nonetheless.
I referred to you as a Drake grad in a prior podcast. And
Multiple
I apologize.
podcasts,
yes.
I heard.
So you can forgive me because both of your brothers went to Drake.
And my sister.
Okay.
Hurricane Gale.
So Hurricane Gale.
Although she was kindly asked to leave after a punch thrown her sophomore year.
Wow.
That's a story for another pod.
This could be a 5-hour podcast.
It could be.
So anyway, fans, Dan Dibley is a proud graduate of Marin Catholic.
Yes.
I apologize.
Amen for the correction.
Talk about your time at Marin Catholic.
Well, I had moved back to Petaluma for my first 2 years, and I went to Casa Grande, a.k.a. the Big House.
Okay.
And my grandpa Dan, who lived in Fairfax, passed away, so we were moving back home, and I asked my parents if I could go to Marin Catholic. I went to St. Rita's as an 8th grader, hoping to go to Marin Catholic. We moved to Petaluma, we moved back, and so I had a chance to finally go to Marin Catholic, and I just wanted to have an opportunity to not be little Dibley for once.
You wanted to blaze your own trail.
Right. Both my brothers and my sister were well known, and they had blazed quite a trail.
Yeah.
It was like a 5-lane highway of legacy and reputation.
Right.
And so I wanted to kind of go my own way. And so I went to Marin Catholic, and it turned out to be the best decision I ever made.
Great.
At the time, Marin Catholic's tuition, $2,000.
Okay.
It's gone up a touch.
Gone up a little bit.
Gone up about 10x, I'm told.
Yes.
Maybe 15x.
That's about right. Yeah.
And it was great. I found a community. I found lifetime friends. And I was able to kind of, carve my own way and, do some PA announcing, and I'm playing tennis and cross country. And, it turned out to be a great move for me.
Okay. Basketball? At Marin Catholic?
Yeah, I tried out.
Okay.
I tried out as a junior. And knowing exactly where I was, I tried out for the JV team.
Okay.
Let me click back a couple years to Casa Grande. I played freshman ball. I was the 12th man on a 12-man team.
Okay.
And I would sit at the end of the bench, and we were good. We won the SCL that year, Sonoma County League. And so we'd be up 17 against Annalee. We'd be up 19 against Piner. We had Montgomery by the short hairs, and I would lean forward.
Gonna put me in, Coach?
I would look at Coach Walker, and I'd give him the look. And finally, he'd look down with 51 seconds to go, and he'd put the finger up. In comes the Dibber.
Nice.
I scored 1 basket that year. 3 points. I hit a there was no threes back then. I hit like a 21-footer top of the key.
Wow.
Banked it in.
Okay, you called it though.
And I think I was 1 of 2 from the line, 3 points. So the next year, our freshman coach takes the JV. And all of my teammates go up to JV. So I try out for the JV team. And he made 1 cut. 1 cut. Your boy.
It was our friend Dan.
I mean, and I still to this day, and Coach Walker, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Still, I hold a grudge.
Yeah.
There was no reason to cut me. Freshman year, we practiced at 6 a.m. I was never late.
Yeah.
I showed up to every practice. I ran every line. And as I mentioned before, I wasn't highly skilled. Mm-hmm. And as a freshman, I was 4'10.5".
Okay.
So I wasn't impactful. But I showed up. There was no need to cut me. He cuts me. So I transferred to Marin Catholic junior year, and I'm thinking, I'm going to try out for JV. I know that I'm not a varsity player.
Yeah.
I try out for JV, and I get cut. So at this point, I'm like, all right, this is
Time for broadcasting.
time for broadcasting. And at this point, I'm 5'3.5", and I'm thinking, they're going to keep me on JV. I'm a junior. You don't
Right.
cut a junior.
Right.
But I got cut. And, that was not the end of my basketball journey, though.
Who was the varsity coach at MC at that time? Do you
That
remember?
was Andy Izetta.
Okay, yeah.
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 And his brother, Bill, was our principal.
Right.
And Coach Izetta was a nice guy, and our varsity was terrible. I mean, they were talentless.
Drake was good those years, right?
Drake was
mid-80s?
Drake was good. That was the Mike Hayward.
Yes.
And, we can talk Mike Hayward when we get to
Yeah.
the Pirate Camp portion.
Yes.
And Ned Freeman and Reed Nottingham, they were juniors.
Awesome.
DY, Dylan Arroyo. They were really good.
Oh, yeah.
Really good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dibbs graduates from Marin Catholic and then College of Marin.
Right. Yeah.
And then, so good experience at College of Marin?
Great. Yeah. I actually, academically, I kind of got my house in order.
Great.
Because leaving Marin Catholic with a 2.4 and an SAT of, I didn't really have a lot of options.
Right.
So I went to College of Marin and played tennis, and tennis had become my sport. I actually got to be pretty good at tennis. And 2 years there, I played for John Panagakis.
Oh, yeah.
Legend.
Sure.
Absolute Marin legend. And I know you guys talked about Al Endress before.
Yes.
John Panagakis is of the same ilk, same era.
Absolutely.
And I think in the same echelon in terms of Marin coaching legend. So I had a great time at College of Marin, and then I transferred to Cal State Northridge.
Where you said you spent 5 lovely years.
5 lovely junior years. So I transferred in as a junior, stayed there for 5 years, and I left as a junior.
Okay, you left as a
Yes,
junior.
I entered as a junior, left as a junior.
We haven't received our diploma yet at this point.
At this juncture,
from Northridge.
I did, however, join a fraternity, and I ran the intramural program. So,
okay.
And I also did a lot of broadcasting. I did play-by-play for the baseball team and the basketball team, and a little bit of the football team until the program became extinct.
Okay.
But I also covered the Rodney King trial in Simi Valley. So that was about the same time.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I was actually broadcasting a baseball game at Jackie Robinson Stadium, UCLA.
Yes.
And I'm looking out from the press box, and you can see
the
smoke come up from South Central. So it's one of those
never forget
where you were kind of moments, and that was toward the tail end of my career.
Yeah.
But
you weren't there for the big earthquake, were you, in Northridge?
No. Actually, I'm 0 for 2 on big earthquakes because the 89 quake here, I was in Northridge.
Oh. And then you were back up here?
The Northridge quake in 93, I think.
93, 94, yeah.
Yeah, I had already come back up here to be a PE aide at Ross.
Okay, well, that's perfect segue.
That's what we do here.
So we spend a bunch of junior years at Northridge.
Only 5 of them.
Only 5. You then come back, you're at Ross School, you're a PE aide, and then you go back to school as well yourself, right? Didn't you go to SF State?
Yeah.
Okay.
So during that time, I was a basketball coach at Santa Fe High. I was coaching club volleyball, and I was working as a PE aide in Ross, and I also was going to school at SF State. And at the same time, I got an opportunity to audition for a movie called Flubber, which
Robin Williams
is a whole nother story in and of itself.
You know what? We're going to come back to this because we're going to have a section of this, Dibbs, where we talk about your coaching career.
Okay.
Because I heard you might have had more losses than wins. That's what I've heard, but we're going to talk
basketball.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, and I know it's a basketball podcast.
Yes, so we'll talk about that.
Please.
We'll let you talk about other sports briefly, and then we are definitely going to touch on the Flubber situation.
It's a basketball movie, so it fits.
Totally, and Robin Williams. Okay, so SF State, you then graduate, Dibbs, as a 30-year-old, you told me?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so now we're moving on, and now what are we doing with our lives?
Well, we're trying to transition from being a PE aide. So I left that job right before I graduated, and I started to put behind the coaching aspect of my Marin life. I had moved to the city, so I was trying to kind of cut the Marin ties a little bit. Living in the city, graduated from SF State, and I started broadcasting, doing traffic, and working as a sidekick on a Christian radio station doing traffic.
Okay.
Jesus loves you on Highway 280. That kind of thing,
Okay.
God help you on Highway 85. That's sort of an angle. And, the broadcasting slowly kind of builds and it starts to take off. And I still kept my toe in coaching in Marin, but for the most part, I discovered that broadcasting was going to be the way I was going to go.
Okay. And then how did you get to, the big break for you? Was that KMBR? Was that the big break?
The big break was
So what
KMBR.
year was that?
That was 2006.
Okay.
Yeah. There was a guy who was working at KMBR who made a mistake and he lost his job. Not only did he lose his job, but his boss, who was not pro Dibley, he also lost his job. So when that happened, the guy who took over the reins of that station was somebody who did like me. So then I get a chance in 2006 to be on the KNBR morning show and work middays with Gary Radnich. And that's kind of when, as a 37-year-old late bloomer, that's when I really was able to kind of elevate my career.
Awesome. And so you're at KNBR for, 5-6 years?
Yep.
And then 95.7 The Game starts in 2011, 2010?
2011. Good call.
And you were there. I remember you were there from the beginning,
From
right?
day one.
From day one. And you've been there ever since?
For the most part. There was a 51-week period where I had an unpaid time off.
Okay.
Where March 11th, 2014, we go in for a meeting and the boss says, close the door. And you never want to have the close the door meeting.
Those are good.
And then, we get shown the door. And instead of flipping the desk and middle fingering my way out of the door, shook hands with everybody.
Classy.
Thanked the people that I needed to thank.
Smart.
Quietly packed my things and left. And then 51 weeks later, I was rehired. And I've been there ever since.
And this is a fickle industry.
Very.
It changes a lot. And your role, I've listened to you, I've tracked you over the years, we're old friends, I've got some great stories about you from way back in the day, but your role has changed, right? You've gone from, you're in the mornings, you go to the drive time in the afternoon. So how do you manage that uncertainty?
Well, uncertainty is the business. It's kind of like being a college or pro basketball coach where when you're winning, there's more certainty. And, high school's a little bit different because, a fickle parent group can cost you your job.
For sure.
Or, you can fail but be a good guy and, and have security.
Right.
It's more about being a college or a pro coach in that you're successful, you're going to stay, and you're going to be rewarded, and everything's good. But when things go bad, and for us it's ratings. When the ratings are bad, then it's time to worry. And, I lost my job in 2014.
Yeah.
And I actually was working for 107.7 The Bone in 2003 on the morning show. And that show was terrible. And I lost my job then when my ex-wife was pregnant with our second child.
Wow,
and that's real uncertainty.
Who was that morning show, 107.7?
It was Bob Coburn, rest in peace. And you probably don't even remember. It was before Lamont and Tonelli.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was what I was thinking of.
So just a quick vignette about that. And I know it's a basketball podcast, and we'll get to it shortly.
Yeah.
But I'm getting fired, and I'm walking to the elevator with my box of stuff, and I hear in the distance the entire company is together in the conference room, and they say, ladies and gentlemen, Lamont and Tonelli. And you hear this roar go up as the elevator doors are closing.
Wow.
And I'm on my way out.
Wow.
And they've been there now for 21 years.
Yeah, for sure.
But it is a fickle business, to your point.
So in addition to I just want to close up, believe it or not, we're still on your bio intro, Dan.
Take your time.
Close up your background. So radio career since 25 years, but then you also moonlight as a sideline reporter, play-by-play broadcaster for a number of sports, right? The Earthquakes, soccer. What else have you done? You've done baseball.
San Jose SaberCats, arena football. Now defunct.
Yep.
I was the on-field host for the San Jose Stealth, indoor lacrosse. I did San Jose Giants, Stockton Ports baseball.
Great.
And the thing that I'm probably most proud of is my time doing high school sports. And I know you just had Rick Winter on.
Yeah.
And the Rick Winter was involved in one of my all-time favorite contests I've ever broadcasted. It was a Drake Marin Catholic game at the Pit, Marin Catholic,
of course,
the gym formerly known as the Pit.
I'm familiar.
And it's the game in which Alex Pribble took an inbound pass, dribbled through 3 Wildcats, and scored at the buzzer after a very ignominious non-call by the great Larry Moyer, rest in peace.
Daryl Rory talked about Larry Moyer.
And I heard that from D. But
by the way, Pribble's going to be one of our guests. He's coming on with us in a couple of weeks. Alex Pribble, legendary Drake player, played at Cal, Division I coach at Idaho.
One of the few players that got away, because I tried to recruit him for my Drake volleyball team, but he was steadfast about working on his basketball game in the spring.
It's paid off.
It has paid off. And I told him at the time, I said, you better become something if you're going to say no to the Dibber. Third person.
Can't say no to the Dibber. Okay, I wanted to ask a few broadcasting questions, even though we've hit on it a little bit already. But who are your influences growing up? Like, who are the broadcasters who you loved?
It was Howard Cosell. And again, for you kids, you're going to have to Google it because Howard's been gone a long time. But he was a former lawyer, and his whole thing was, I'm going to tell it like it is. And when I was a kid, and
Icon.
I guess when you were a kid as well,
Totally.
There wasn't ESPN, and your television options were limited to about 6 channels.
Yep.
And so Monday Night Football was an actual thing where every Monday night you got to watch a football game. You didn't have every game on. There was no Red Zone channel. There was no Amazon, Amazon Plus or Amazon Prime. You got maybe a game or 2 on a Sunday if you were lucky, and then you got the Monday night game. So
you can speak to this much better than I can, Dibbs, but I mean, you think about really popular shows that are on now that everybody's watching. You maybe get, I'm dumb about this stuff, you maybe get a couple million people watching the show, right? Because there are 750 channels, there are 29 streaming services, there are 38 million podcasts, none as good as this one, obviously. But so everybody's got there's so much content. So what you're talking about, when we were growing up, there were 3 channels.
Right.
or 10 channels, 3 of them that were live. And there was one football game on. So Monday Night Football, the ratings, like you wouldn't have a couple million people. You'd have 40 million people, maybe.
Right, half the country, basically.
Right. I mean, so just a staggering number of people. So it really shaped the culture.
Right. And he was the play-by-play announcer for ABC's Monday Night Football, and just the way he talked, and he did all the big fights and all that. So he was probably my earliest influence. As an adult, my mentor is a gentleman named Barry Tompkins. And we talk about serendipity, which is kind of the confluence of luck and happenstance. It's where luck and happenstance come together.
Yeah.
I'm working at Ross, and I'm doing a program called Fun with Dan, which is an after-school program for 3 and 4-year-olds. I'm doing soccer and baseball, t-ball, and other like little tot programs. And one day, this man comes up with his then 3-year-old, Ryan, and I know exactly who he is right away.
Of course.
It's Barry Tompkins.
Great reporter, broadcaster, does basketball play-by-play.
He's in Rocky IV.
Absolutely.
He's one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
So I was able to strike up a friendship with Barry, and this is in the mid to late 90s, before I had graduated, before I had really started on my journey. And Barry was able to help me, guide me, and kind of, coax me toward where I needed to be.
Amazing. Dibbs, I didn't show you the questions beforehand, but I literally have a question near the end of other Marin broadcasters, and I wrote, are there other notable Marin sportscasters? Barry Tompkins, ?
Really? Okay.
Right there.
It's great.
Yeah. Because he's I love him. He did a lot of boxing too, right?
Yes.
Has done boxing.
Yeah, forever.
Yeah.
And married to Joan Ryan, one of the great writers and columnists of SF Chronicle
Examiner,
fame. And Barry's still working. He and Dan Belwaminy, a great tandem. But it just so happened that I met him through my other job in my other life, and it turned out to be huge for me.
So when you're broadcasting an event like a high school game, and I remember watching you, hearing you do the MCAL games when they used to have those on, what was that, public access?
Yep.
I don't know. So like for this interview, like I said, you didn't want the questions beforehand. You're amazing just off the cuff. So when you're getting ready to announce a game, do you do a lot of prep beforehand, or do you want to just kind of go in cold and observe? Like, how do you prep for a game, and then how do you prep for your show as well?
I mean, you need a lot of prep for both. But for games, especially high school games, you need to figure out, who the players are.
Yeah.
And ideally, you'd be able to talk to the coach of each team.
Okay.
And, if you could watch a practice, that's great. If you can watch a game before, that's also great. You need to know what you're going to face going in. Does the team press or do they not press? Do they run a lot of zone? Do they run man? What are their actions on offense? Is it a lot of screen roll? Who shoots the three? How deep is their bench and all the rest of it? So
even as a broadcaster, you want to know all this stuff.
Absolutely.
It sounds like you're a coach getting ready for a game.
Right. It's very much the same because you don't want to be caught off guard and, hey, number 21,
who is this guy?
Right.
Right.
And it's like, no, this always the sixth man or whatever, the player to come in. And for me, it was great because growing up in Marin and doing a lot of the Marin games, I knew many of the coaches already. So there was that comfortability going into it. I've known Doug Dinellen. He actually was my boss at the Fairfax Theater.
Okay.
One of the 5 people who have fired me, by the way. That's, again, we may need to extend this podcast.
Part 2.
Yeah. I was supposed to change the marquee of the Fairfax Theater from Gremlins to The Muppets Take Manhattan.
Wow.
And it's a driving rain. And I basically said to Doug Dinellen, I said, I clean it up here for the kids. I'm not going to be changing the marquee, Doug. And there's basically nothing you can do about it. He was the assistant manager at the time, and I happened to have a friend who was close friends with his boss. Mm-hmm. I thought I was untouchable.
You thought you were covered.
So the next day I come to go to work, and the manager goes, "What did you say to Doug?" And I said, "Well, I informed him that I would not be changing the marquee in these weather conditions." And she said, "You're fired." So, anyway, Doug Dinellen, coaching. I knew Doug, and actually Doug played a big role in my time at Drake as a volleyball coach.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great. I'm just still hung up on, moving from Gremlins to Muffins Take Manhattan.
It's a lot of letters in The Muppets Take Manhattan.
That's a tough one.
And, when you talk about Manhattan, is it 2 T's and 2 N's? Is it, and there's no internet back then, so you had to go to the dictionary. I wasn't doing it in the driving rain.
Gremlins was an underrated movie, Dan.
I love the Gremlins. Is great.
Gremlins was great.
Yeah, last movie I ever saw there, for obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons. Too painful for you. All right, let's talk about. I want to go back to kind of the early '80s and growing up in Marin for you. So we talked about growing up in Fairfax, the Fultons and the Dibleys. Your brother Doug played on the legendary '82 team, the Drake team that we've talked about a lot. I mentioned him in another podcast because I feel like he hasn't gotten as much airtime as he should have because he was a great player. I believe he started on that team, did he not?
Yes, he did.
So talk about that team and your perspective. So you're a 13, 14-year-old around that time, right? Eighth grader. Playing A, controversially.
Finally,
playing A. So talk about your memory of that 82 Drake team.
Well, it was very deep for me, and those are core memories.
Yeah.
And it all kind of stems from my days in pirate camp because as a kid, I went to every single pirate camp because my mom worked at Drake. So pirate camp was my daycare.
It was babysitting for
basically,
Dibs.
yeah. Even though I wasn't a great player, I went to every single session, and I got to know every coach. I played for Mike Fulton. I played for Steve Lavin, for Cap Lavin, for Jimmy Saya, Denise Daniels, she was a great player at Drake. And I became very good friends, summer friends, with a guy named Mike Hayward, Pete's son.
Yes.
And so Mike and I became the Mutt and Jeff of pirate camp. He was,
he's
6'1".
Yeah.
As an eighth grader, he's 6'1", and I'm 4'7". And not that he's shy, but I was basically like his hype man, his mouthpiece.
Right.
He was Chuck D, and I was Flavor Flav.
Right.
So we would just roll around pirate camp, and I'm running material, and he, he was a legitimate player at the time. And so because we were really good friends, and his father was the coach of the team, and my brother was on the team, I somehow was able to assimilate myself to be somewhat of a ball boy.
Okay.
Now, they had a team manager. I think it was Warren Anderson was his name. He was a high school student, and he was the team manager.
Okay.
On the bench, it was Pete Hayward. I think he had an assistant coach. It might have been might have been Mike Saya at the time. I can't remember. But there was Warren Anderson. Then there was Mike Hayward, Pete's 8th grade son.
Yep.
And then me. A lot of times at Drake, I was sitting almost underneath the scorer's table.
Wow.
But I was on the bench.
Yeah.
I was on the bench at every game. I had my own scorebook. So I would keep score, and when Pete, like somebody would get in foul trouble, Pete would look down to the official score, and I would hold up the number, and I was never wrong.
Yeah.
Because I was keeping score.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got away with being on the bench, but I was on the bench. And if you look at a lot of the photos and
That's really cool.
the videos of this team,
Yeah.
I mean, I was a part of the fabric. So for me, the 82 state championship team is as much a part of my life as it is Jimmy Saya, Steve Lavin, Doug Dibley, and all the rest of them.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this a lot. We talked about it with Fulton, about that team scoring, in the 70s and 80s before the three-point line.
Yeah.
At a time where, that was unheard of, right? Just the amount of talent on that team and skill. That must have been fun for you to watch.
Super fun. And if you took the second team and just, took them and put them at whatever high school, they're a playoff team.
Right.
They might, I don't know if they'd be the second best team, but they would be a force to be reckoned with. You had James Tolbert, 6'6", big, coming off the bench. You had Steve Lavin, who was a 6 man. Mike Davidson, who was a good little point guard.
Yeah.
And, you could run down the list. Mitchell Pierce was a freshman.
Oh, great player.
And he turned out, and I heard you guys mention Mike Delosio earlier.
Yeah.
He's another guy who would come through the program and be equally good. It was a team that was stacked 1 through 15. And for me, as an 8th grade ball boy, to just be around that level of greatness and see him come out, and they would come out to Michael Jackson and, off the wall.
Yeah.
And they would do the Drake circle drill that became, iconic.
Iconic, totally.
In those green warm-ups. And, they would come out, and you pretty much knew they were going to win, but just watching the poetry of that team. Chris Fulton shooting the long twos.
Yep.
And Steve Kenilvort, who could do it all, and Dan Hunt, and just his efficiency as a big, and Jimmy Saya, the quintessential point guard, and my brother, who was basically doing the dirty work.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't really a guy to shoot much, but he would guard the other team's best guard. He would take charges, he would rebound, and he would do all the little things that needed to be done.
And those names that you mentioned, Chris Fulton, Kenilvort, Hunt, and then there's DeVore, right?
Another guy coming off the bench.
Those guys all played D1 and played pro.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even get to Doug DeVore.
Yeah.
And at the time, he was a little bit of gangly's probably a little bit of a misnomer, but he was not a guy who was in there making a huge impact on that team. And Pete, he ran a pretty tight ship.
Yes.
And he didn't go deep in the bench in close games. He might get to a 7th or 8th player, but you didn't go much deeper than that until you got into garbage time.
Right. And so at the same time, were you going to the Drake outdoor courts?
Not quite yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I was an 8th grader at this time. My time in the Drake outdoor courts came when I went to College of Marin.
Okay.
And that's when I really became the basketball player that I would eventually be, which is to say, king of the B court and getting A court crumbs. But and I credit Buck Chavez for a lot of it. And I know we have to have a Buck Chavez reference in every podcast, but
let's do it.
Buck would but he would pick me on his team. Because, you'd go out to Drake, and it would be, if you were there for the first run, you shoot for it. And if you make it, you get to be in that first game. And that would be my best chance to play on the A court. Because I was not necessarily an A court player.
Right.
So if I didn't make the opening game, if Buck would show up and, he was feeling confident with who else he had, he'd have me play on his team.
Right.
And that's how I got a lot better, was going there not only on the weekends, but during the week as well. 4:30 on a Tuesday, there'd be a run. Or, 5 o'clock on a Wednesday, you could get a run. And because I was going to College of Marin, I was there probably 4 or 5 days a week.
That's awesome.
Just playing.
Yeah. I miss those days, man.
Yeah.
When when the Drake outdoor courts first were at their peak, I mean, do you remember seeing some unbelievable players down there?
Always, yeah. And it was, those were the times where I would be on the B court, and occasionally there'd be 3 courts.
Yeah.
To where, if you didn't feel like waiting for, the court on the right, because as you would walk in, the court on the left was, the court, and then the other court would be kind of the spillover.
Sure.
And at times there'd be a 2 or 3 game wait.
Right.
For both courts. So the competitiveness and the level of play. And
well, as Mike Sias said, that's when you kind of learn to, even if that wasn't a foul, it was a foul, right? I mean, you didn't say cheat, but you learned to, sort of the famous Magic Johnson stories, right? Playing pickup at Pauley Pavilion where either Magic scores or he got fouled.
Right. If you're playing I think we played at 12 back then.
Yeah.
And if it's, 10-9 or 10-10, there's going to be fouls.
There's going to be foul calls.
At the same time, I don't remember too many instances where things devolved into the kind of shouting match or game-wrecking arguments that would completely derail the afternoon. Usually there was resolution. There was a pecking order in terms of, if somebody would speak. And if Eddie Joe was out there, and, all due respect to Buck, but Eddie carried that extra level of gravitas because he wouldn't play out there a lot. But, Buck and Pat Sandel and Steve Spencer, and you could we've run through all the litany of names, and it was incredible.
That's so cool. I just love that era. All right, Dibbs, let's talk about your illustrious coaching career.
Oh, God.
Okay, so I have been told by you that you coached the worst team in Marin history in any sport.
I believe I said basketball history.
Okay.
But I was coaching at Santa Fe.
Okay.
I was coaching volleyball, and so I got to know Mark Carlson, a.k.a. Clutch. Great guy.
Yep.
He was the varsity girls basketball coach at the time.
Current PA announcer for Branson, also the Branson freshman boys coach.
Yeah.
He's at College of Marin all the time. He's been a PA announcer for Dominican. Great guy.
Good coach, better guy
is
the way I'll say it. So he's got a program that he's trying to run, and Santa Fe at the time was not. This is in the post Katie Christensen era.
Yep.
So things had kind of, gone down a little bit in terms of overall caliber. The JV coach, whose name I have never known, he's coaching this team and he quits. They're 0-9 and he just quits. And the way he quits is it's a phone call. I'm done showing up. I'm out. So, and this is probably, if you're 0-9, this is right about the Christmas holiday.
Okay.
Because you're getting into MCALs and you only get 26 touches and whatever. Yeah. So Clutch calls me and says, I'm desperate. I need somebody. Will you help me out? And I said, sure, Mark, I'll do it. Mm-hmm. At the time, I probably had 8 jobs, and I'm thinking about the check, which is probably $1,800 or something.
Right.
And I'm thinking 2 months of work, I'll do it. I take this team, and wow. I've never seen or imagined a worse collection of basketball players in my life. The point guard, and I will leave everyone's name out of it because these are all women now.
Yes.
We're going back to 1996.
And I'm sure they're all listeners.
I'm sure. Point guard, 4'10.5". She's a gymnast. Flies.
Yeah.
But doesn't understand the jump stop.
Okay.
So you get her the ball, and she'll dribble, head down, and then when she decides it's time to stop dribbling, it's about 17 steps.
Yeah.
It's a travel.
Okay.
Small forward, double knee surgery, survivor. My 2 other guards were twins, one of whom was prone to the flagrant foul.
Oh.
And I'm talking like throwing punches.
Oh, wow.
Like she would just out and out punch a girl in the stomach. We had a backup guard who wasn't very talented. My center was a 6-foot supermodel who couldn't catch a cold at a wet market in Shuzhang. That's material for you. But she would average about 5 block shots a game because she was tall and long and she would swat everyone. So I take this team over and we lose 51-5. We lose 57-8. And so after about 3 or 4 games, what I realized was we needed to approach things differently. Mm-hmm. So in my pregame speech, I would say, girls, ladies, let's be fair. We're not going to win this game. You know it. I know it.
Right.
Everybody knows it. So let's figure out how we can make this a positive experience. So we started to goal set.
Okay.
And our number one goal every game was double digits. Let's get to double digits.
Wow.
And then as we would go through, one of our goals would be run the play once. Just once. And the play was like pass and screen away
Right.
and see if we can hit the cutter coming through to a foul line jumper.
Okay.
I mean, let's see if we can run it once. And so our goals were really rudimentary. We go through the MCAL and we're losing by 45, 50, 55 every night. So we get to the second round and I put up a new goal, which was ITM, improve the margin.
Okay.
So I would say, all right, we got Marin Catholic tonight. They beat us 58-7 last time. Let's see if we can lose by less than 51. So we're playing Novato. First time they beat us 65-8. So improve the margin. Let's lose by less than 57.
Yeah.
We're at Novato, and we're down like 54-5, and we get the ball back,
So
and
it's
I
close.
call timeout.
Yeah, this is a big one.
I call timeout with about 41 seconds left, and the Novato parents are all jeering me, and so I step out of the huddle, and it's I'm four letters bombs here and there. We devise a play.
Yep.
We run it. Obviously, we don't run it because we're terrible. We score. It's an and one. We hit the free throw, and we're going crazy. We're now 54-8 at this point, and these parents are looking at us like we're crazy, and I'm like in tears
Improving
on
the
the
margin.
sideline. We lost by 56. We didn't lose by 57. We lost by 56. So that experience, we went 0-26.
Okay.
That experience taught me more about coaching than I had ever learned before in terms of what we're all trying to do. You're trying to do the little things. And for us, the little things were jump stop. And this is JV. I shouldn't be worried about like this is a pivot.
Right.
And this is a jump stop. And how do we throw a chest pass and
Right.
all the rest of it. But I learned more about coaching that year than I had any other year.
That's awesome. I was
Killed my overall winning percentage, by the way.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, I was cracking up as you were telling that whole story. But the idea of these quantifiable little goals, I think, is such a powerful coaching tool. I say this all the time to my teams. Like I was coaching, NBBA this fall. And we were down by 30 going into the fourth quarter. Like, all right, let's win the fourth quarter.
Right.
Or let's win the first 5 minutes. Right. Just little quantifiable things, baby steps, achievable goals. Right. And also the idea of don't try and attack a problem holistically, just break it up into parts, right? The Navy SEALs have this thing, like how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time?
Right.
Right? Just little steps. That's how you get through it, right? And so that's a great story. I'm sorry that you were 0-26. That couldn't have been fun. But
No.
great experience.
Great experience. And I've never received such great gifts at a team party as I did. The parents, then they saw the effort that I gave and the effort that the young ladies gave. And
It's great.
to their point, they never quit on me. I had 10 at the beginning and I had 10 at the end. And
Awesome.
It had to be harder on them than it was on me because, there was never a chance that we would win a game until the finale. We're playing San Marin and they were the second worst team in the league.
Okay.
And I looked at the ref assignment and it was a former coworker of mine, Scott Elliott. He was the custodian at Ross School. So I go to Scott that day and I said, Scott, anything you can do, buddy.
Wow.
Anything you can do. We shot 144 free throws that day. It was a 4-hour game.
They breathed on you and you guys get the call?
I got every call. You want to talk about getting a call? I think we scored 27 points that game. We lost by 15 or
I was
so.
going to say, you probably shot like 10% from the line though, right?
I think we were 11 for 114 from the line.
there you go. All right. I have in my notes, Dibs, Drake volleyball - Michelle Bravelli bullying. Can you talk about this?
I would love to.
Okay,
because she came on and talked about how she started the boys volleyball program at Drake.
Yes.
And she did. And 1999 was the year, and they were winless. And I was just going about my business, finally graduated college, making my way in broadcasting, actually not coaching for the first time. I had just given up the San Rafael volleyball program. I coached the girls for 4 years. I'm a free agent. Michelle Bravelli comes to me and says, yeah, I got this boys team at Drake. I need you to coach it. And I'm like, Michelle, I'm done. I'm trying to be a broadcaster. And she's like, well, I can't do it anymore because she was, moving on to Branson and she was moving on to do AD things. I've known Michelle since I refereed her games back in CYO.
Yeah.
She basically used peer pressure. I felt bullied. I felt threatened.
You okay?
I'm still getting over
Okay.
it.
Okay.
It's just funny because she pressured me into it, even though she knew and I knew I can't help it. I got to coach.
Yes.
And I'd never coached at Drake. I was born in a Drake family. I grew up in Drake.
Yeah.
So she played on my emotions, and so I take over this team, and we go 4-20 my first year, but I see some signs.
Nice.
I see signs. And I had a senior named Shannon Levinson, and that first year, he basically, you want to talk about bullying, he told his younger brother Josh and all his freshman basketball buddies, you're playing volleyball or else.
Wow.
Because Shannon didn't want to have a year like he did his junior year where they won 0 games.
Okay.
So I take over the team. Shannon's a senior, and I've got this group of 8 freshmen.
Yeah.
It's Shannon, this kid Tahan, who would go on to be player of the year. Nick Hawley, 6'7", big county. He would be an all-league player. And I got these 8 freshmen. And so we scuffled.
Did you come up with that nickname? Did you come up with
No,
Big
they all
County?
the kids came up with it.
There used to be a guy in the NBA named Big Country.
Exactly.
Which is
Brian Reeves. So this was Big County.
Fantastic nickname.
And Big County's still coaching volleyball. So we go from 4-20 to 4 straight NCS appearances. We
Nice.
won 3 straight in 02, 03, and 04. And the dynasty was built on the backs of Michelle Smith, Nee Bravelli,
Bullying you.
and her blatant bullying.
Just
And I know she's a listener, and Michelle, you're probably smiling and nodding in your office in Nevada. We both know how that went down.
okay, Michelle. We might give you a chance to retort. That's awesome. So, do you miss coaching?
I do and I don't. Yeah. I do. I miss the winning and the losing because
Yeah.
in life, like I broadcast, I do a radio show. It's me and my co-host in a box for 4 hours.
Yeah.
It's not very visceral. You feel like you have a good show. There's good shows, there's bad shows.
Yeah.
When you're coaching, when you're competing, there's wins and losses.
Duffy has walked in just
I
as we're
love
talking
it.
about wins and
Winning,
losses.
yeah. Great timing. Winning time.
Duffy,
Yes.
Duffy, what's up? The
Hi,
go
Duff.
How's it
team.
going, guys?
We're talking through Dibbs' coaching. We're finishing up his coaching career, the
Yeah.
wins and losses. So yeah, the idea of competition.
I miss that.
I get it.
miss being able to bring a team, and I most recently coached at Bishop O'Dowd. I started the boys volleyball program at O'Dowd. Thank you, sir. The old O'Dowd athletic director is a friend of mine, and I told him about 12 years ago, I said, if you ever start a boys volleyball program,
Yeah.
give me the first right of refusal. So back in 2019, he says, we're starting a program, and I said, I'll take it. So I went from no program to 30 kids in 2 years. I had a varsity, I had a JV, and the pandemic hit, and my personal life was going in a certain direction that I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And so I've stepped away. But I miss coaching on game day.
So
Now you're going to ask me what I don't miss?
Yes.
Because the list is much longer.
yes, go ahead.
I don't miss parent phone calls and emails.
Yep.
I don't miss 48 hours of training. And, first aid and CPR is critical. But all of the other tertiary
Right.
and secondary trainings that we have to do, including learning how to use the AED,
Yes.
which is great, the 3-hour online concussion protocol training, and all of the red tape and the rigmarole is something that I don't miss.
Duffy has an item.
I love it.
You know how you get out of those?
Talk to me, Duff.
You go to medical school, and then you go
There it
and
is.
become an emergency medicine physician, and then you can say to the school, does my job count?
I love
Guess
it.
what? They almost said no.
What if you're a know-it-all radio host? Can you pretend that actually counts? It's a shame.
Well, that's great. I mean, one thing. So actually, this bleeds into. I want to talk about your go back to broadcasting, because when you're talking about coaching, I mean, it's interesting. So you've coached basketball, you've coached volleyball, you played tennis. Have you coached tennis?
Yeah, I did coach tennis.
Coach
As
tennis.
an 18-year-old, I coached the JV team at Marin Catholic.
Okay. So, and then when you talk about your broadcasting career, you've called soccer, indoor lacrosse, arena football, baseball, basketball. You've got range, Dibbs.
Yeah.
So your ability to move among sports, both as a broadcaster and as a coach, I think that's a function of you're obviously witty, hilarious, intelligent, but you're just a real observer, right? I mean, you watch things. So you're an 8th grader and you're on the bench at the Drake 82 games and you're tracking fouls. You're watching the game, right?
Yes.
And you're intently watching the game. And this is something that I've noticed kids these days. I sound like an old man on my soapbox, but when kids watch sports, they don't actively watch it, I think, like we did back in the day, or not a lot of them do, right? I mean, would you attribute, it's kind of a leading question, but would you attribute your success as a coach, or lack thereof, and broadcaster to when you were a kid, you were an active observer of these sports?
Yes, and it starts with, as we discussed previously, my time in the pavilion with Larry Fulton and my father Dwayne, who was a coach, and all these other role models. And my brother Mike would go on to be my coach in Little League. And so I always played sports. I was never great at sports, but I always played. And I played soccer for the Travel Bug in Fairfax. Rest in peace, 1980. Back when nobody played soccer.
Yeah.
You just didn't play like nowadays. Everybody plays soccer.
Right.
Back then, playing soccer was kind of,
totally
out of the box. And so I've always played sports, and I've always watched sports, and I loved it. And being around the 82 team and being at the Coliseum and watching Pete Hayward, the way he coached, which he was very exacting and very demanding, but they were precise and they were elite. And you watched the way they went about it. And, Mike Fulton was one of my early coaches. He actually was the first ever coach for whom I played a championship team. It was Pirate Camp. It was had to be 1980. And we had a girl on our team. And this was before there was a separate girls' camp. There were probably 2 or 3 girls
in the camp,
in the whole camp.
Right, I remember those.
And
days.
I'm on Mike's team, and we're you get into Pirate Camp, and you get later in the week, and you have the bracket play, and I'm on the bench, and he's starting this girl over me. And Mike Fulton I've known Mike my entire life. He's like a brother to me. And I remember as like a 12-year-old thinking, dude, you don't sit me for this girl. And then I'm watching her play, and I'm like, she's better than me. And we go on to win Pirate Camp title. Sean McGuinn was unguardable that week. He was a force to be reckoned with. And I'll never forget Mike in that moment, him telling me, Danny, she's better than you. And you want to win, don't you? And I was like, yeah, Mike, I do want to win. And he was right to do that. And
that's great.
I think I got thrown out in the semis. I got a T for sure. But I want to say I got ejected.
You know what? I think you were the emotional heartbeat of that team, and you were the reason they won it.
I was an emotional wreck, is what I was.
So I remember, I want to say one story when we're talking. So let's get back to your broadcasting career, because I have a few more questions on that. And I know at some point, Dibbs has to leave us to go to work, to be on the radio today. But I remember sitting in the stands at the Drake Summer League as a high schooler, and we were up in the back of the stands at Drake, and we're just watching a random Summer League game. There were probably 10 people in the gym, and you just started announcing the game to us. You probably don't remember this, but you would just make up names, you would make up backgrounds, and we were just dying laughing. And I mean, at the time, if someone had asked me, what do you think this guy, meaning Dan, is going to do with his life, I'd say, well, he's going to be a stand-up comedian or he's going to be a broadcaster. So I think it was even in your blood back then.
It absolutely was, and I credit my upbringing, and the Fultons were a big part of it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because one of Mike and Chris's teammates in minor leagues, a guy named Tony Waiter, now Damian Waiter, he just recently wrote a book called Adams Realty. And I think it's loosely based on reality, but it's partly based on this Adams Realty Little League team from Fairfax Little League.
Oh, cool.
It was a minor league team, and if you look at the team picture, there's Mike and Chris Fulton, Tony Waiter, Larry Fulton, and front right is me. And I'll show you guys the picture. I have it on my phone.
Awesome.
I wasn't the bat boy for this team, yet I found my way into the team picture. I'm not looking at the camera. I'm actually looking to the side. But I was everybody's bat boy in Little League. So I would go to Central Field in Fairfax at 9 a.m. in an ill-fitting shirt, and I was the bat boy. I'd pick a team. A lot of times I bat boyed for the team that was playing against my brothers.
Yeah.
And I just was a fixture. And I would go up in the booth as a 4-year-old and do public address. And it was just, it was accepted, and I'm the youngest of four, and that was always my comfort zone, trying to worm my way into being the center of attention. So, like broadcasting from the stands, and I remember I was a scorekeeper for San Rafael Adult League when I was in high school, and I would announce those games too, just to myself, and running material and mean-spirited commentary, whatever.
Totally.
But that was kind of always my comfort zone.
I love it. So, 25 years doing radio. You've interviewed everybody. I mean, it's impossible to cover all the questions I want to ask about that. But who've been your favorite kind of Bay Area sports figures that you've interviewed over the years?
Well, I mean, Steph is first and foremost Stephen Curry, just because he is an even better guy than he is a basketball player.
Yeah.
And he treats everyone the same, and he treats everyone with a certain level of respect that somebody in his place, you don't have to. If you're that good at your craft and you're that famous and that rich and that popular, that good looking, that everything, you can have an ego, and you can treat anybody the way you want to treat him and get away with it, right?
You're talking about Duffy, right? Is that what you're talking about?
I mean, Duff is close to that level.
Obviously.
I'm stricken by the handsomeness right now. I'm having a hard time.
You guys, thank you. I think it's nice. I'm going to head over to Dave's beer fridge here and see what's in here.
We had Steve Kerr on yesterday on our show, and we have him on every week, and the way he thoughtfully answers every question, and no cliches, and just it's matter of fact, but he takes time to listen and actually answer in a forthright manner. That's great. And a lot of the athletes that you interview, they treat it as a commitment, and it's just how can I give this answer and be done with it. But those are two guys who spring to mind in terms of you look forward to interviewing them, because that they're going to listen to the question and give you at least a good answer, a well thought out answer. Maybe not the total truth, because you can't always tell the truth in that spot, but at least they're going to take the time to give you the answer.
Do you like interviewing coaches more than or players?
It depends. I like interviewing the players, I think, if you can get them in the right spot. And my partner, Mark Willard, is really good at, making it non-threatening. So we do, I think, a lot of good interviews. We don't try to hot take these athletes, or we don't try to corner them.
Right.
We just want to get to know them and make them feel safe and comfortable. And, it's kind of the show that we do, which I like that about our show.
Yeah.
It's, especially nowadays where athletes can go straight to the consumer. They don't need us as much as they used to.
I was going to ask, just in general, how has the radio business has changed a lot, right, in the last 25 years. We talked about, how TV has changed a lot, right? Whereas growing up, Howard Cosell and those kind of icons, right? It's different. So obviously with podcasting, with other forms of media now, how do you see the radio business going forward?
It's everyone wants to say it's in trouble, but it's changed. Like now we have a YouTube channel, which has become popular.
Yep.
We're on Twitch, and we podcast our episodes, and we push out our content in many other ways.
I listen to your stuff online all the time. I go to the website.
Yeah.
And I listen to it that
so
way.
More and more of our listeners are not listening in real time.
Right.
So we're repurposing and packaging our content in different ways in order to get more listenership and more impact and more clicks and all the rest of it. So we push it out on X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram, and we have our own app, the Odyssey app, and so it's a lot more multi-platform than it used to be. But at the end of it, it's just content. Like this is content, and I love this content. I was telling Dave earlier, I've become like a TMC podcast junkie. It's my walk to work content.
Love it.
I'm gonna catch my Rick Winter a little bit later today.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Have you considered a crunch time segment in your show?
I haven't, but I've actually already thought about my crunch time answers for today.
Okay.
Assuming we get there.
Okay, a couple things we got to cover, Dibs, before you go. First, real quick, you continue to be a CYO referee.
Yeah.
And last year, listeners, this is not a lie. Last year, I was coaching my 5B girls game, and my referee was Dan Dibley.
How did I do?
You did great. I will tell you, there's one. I have one bone to pick with you. So just like you were talking about how you called timeout when you were down 56 because you didn't want to lose by 54.
Oh my God, I remember this.
I was up 20 near the end of the half, and I called timeout because I wanted to have us practice our out of bounds play. And you looked at me like, "Come on, coach, you're up 20 in a game that we're going to score 25 points." Anyway, that was pretty funny. But you did, and
you understand
job.
why that I was so at odds with your choice of timeout. I do 8 games. I do an 8-pack, and we run our games on the hour. We have a game at 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I like to stay on time. If a coach is up 24-4 and he's asking for timeout with 11 seconds left to run an inbounds play in a 5B girl game, I'm skeptical.
Okay.
I'm skeptical too.
Duly noted.
Yeah.
The play worked beautifully.
It did work, and I believe you got a bucket.
I got a bucket. For
and
my
I looked
daughter.
over and I said something to the akin of, "Are you happy now, coach?" Cost me 60 seconds.
Okay. So anyway,
yeah, year 36 coming up for me.
You're 36 of
Yes.
reffing. So listeners, you just might have Dibley roaming the sidelines at St. Vincent's for you or wherever. So that's awesome that you do that.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's a nice little side income.
Side hustle.
It's my Vegas money. I go to Vegas every year for March Madness. So whatever I can accumulate
Love it.
through donning the stripes and whistle, that goes into my Vegas fund. And then, we risk it all on Colgate versus Weber State.
Excellent.
Great moments in gambling.
Totally.
Okay. Cap Lavin and a Flubber casting call.
So in 1996-ish, through the Drake Outdoor Courts, word spreads that they're going to have a casting call for the movie Flubber in the Drake Gym this Sunday. The only reason why I heard about it was because I was playing outdoor hoop at Drake. So I go there for a casting call, and they immediately divide up everybody into 2 groups. There's the basketball players, all like Reed Nottingham, who eventually would make the movie, and like Poser might have been there.
Yeah.
There's all the basketball players, and then there's a whole another group of actors and nerds. Well, they put me, of course, with the actors and nerds. And so the casting call is you're going to play one-on-one, one player from each group against each other. They're going to film it. And so we're all lined up, and they're matching us up at random. And I go up against, and I wish I remembered his first name, is Dana Moore's brother.
Oh, Chris Moore.
Thank you, Chris Moore.
Great player for
6'6".
Centerfeld. Played at UCSD.
So all these other one-on-one games, it's like the nerdling against an athlete, and it's like, I mean, the nerdling's got no clue. So I go out there, and I get the bit. They want me to look like a chump. So I come out, and Chris Moore gets the ball first, and he backs me down. He hits me the 3rd time, and I throw myself back, and I go flying, and he goes up, and he dunks it. So then I get the ball, and I kind of nerd it up, dribble, and I go to throw it up, and he swats it in the night throw. Then he gets it, and he comes in again and hits this little like 10-foot step back or whatever, and I get it again, and the pride kicks in. I'm like,
no.
So I dribble down, and I go up like I'm going to do the same thing, and I pump him, and he flies up, and then I step around for the up and under, little lefty teardrop.
Sweet.
And of course, the crowd goes wild, reading all those guys. And Chris Moore is like, oh my God. And I was thinking, okay, well, I'm not going to get the job. And 3 months later, they call me. They're like, we want you. You're in.
Wow.
And so I went to Treasure Island. We filmed 3 weeks. And if you ever watch the movie Flubber, you look on the blue team, the nerd team, number 11.
Gonna rent it tonight.
I'm the backup big. I'm the tallest guy in the team. I'm 5'9", Duff. I'm not a big man. But your boy, backup center.
I love it.
And
Great.
it was actually hilarious. And Reed Nottingham and his wife are both in there as well.
Just saw Reed a couple
Reed
days
goes
ago.
behind the back in one spot, and his wife was one of the cheerleaders
That's
for
awesome.
the team. We were down 57-3 at the half in that game.
Sounds like your Centerfeld.
I hit
team.
the only 3, by the way. You don't see it in the movie, but we came back from 54 down at halftime to win that game.
That's an amazing comeback.
Huge. Biggest in movie history.
Just saw Reed. Reed runs Falcon camps. Great guy. Okay. Crunch time.
Okay.
Dibs.
Let's go. It's pressure.
Greatest Marin County basketball player and coach.
Wow. Greatest Marin County player. I'd have to say Steve Kenilvort, and it's slightly controversial.
Great answer.
But watching Steve play on the 82 team,
Yep.
he had 37 in the state championship game against Banning.
Yep.
And you mentioned this before. They won 87-85. No threes, 8-minute quarters.
Yeah.
My brother Doug hit 4 huge free throws in that game.
Wow.
My brother Doug still harbors some resentment over the official box score. Steve Kenilvort goes up for a dunk in the third quarter, and he gets tackled. And there's a photo out there of the Banning player who is like double wrapped around his leg.
Yeah.
He legitimately got tackled, hurts his knee. He has to go out. My brother hit both free throws. They credited Kenilvort those 2 points. They gave him the points.
It's an outrage.
But what Steve was able to do, and that was a team of immense talent. Dan Hunt, Chris Fulton, as we mentioned.
Yeah.
But Steve, who would go on to be drafted by the Golden State Warriors.
Played for Santa Clara?
Santa Clara,
Yeah.
and he got drafted by the Warriors.
Yeah.
Tore up his knee and never was able to play after that. But for me, he's the best I ever saw.
Okay. How about Coach Pete?
It's tough. I mean, I would say Pete based on success, but I won't say Pete. I mean, best coach ever.
He's thinking about a 5B, CYO coach.
It's a great timeout.
Someone
It's a
who
great use of timeout.
drew up a
Duff.
beautiful set play.
It's gutsy timeout. That's a tough question. I'm gonna say Brett Tavani.
Okay.
And it's a little bit off the board.
Not at all. Unbelievable coach. 50 years coaching.
Love Brett, the fire, and I remember the Sanderfeld teams, Dave Deneen,
Yes.
and Bravelli and Scott Sellers,
Absolutely.
Marin County Hall of Famer, and Chris Collins and Marty Riley. And it's funny because we lived 5 blocks from Sanderfeld High my brother Doug's senior year, yet he went to Drake.
Okay.
Because he lived with my grandpa.
Okay.
And so Brett has always, like every time I see him, he's like, you lived on Grand Avenue. So yeah, Brett, we did.
awesome.
But I mean, Brett, amazing.
Favorite signature sports call of all time?
Man, there's so many. But favorite signature sports call, man, you could say Miracle on Ice.
Did you believe in miracles? Yes.
I was actually at the Fulton's house in San Anselmo watching that on tape delay because I don't think it was on live. And
So funny you say that. You heard the Fulton interview way back, episode 1?
Yeah.
He talks about he had a great game that night.
yeah.
The night, I think at the playoff, there was a playoff game or something.
Yeah.
He said I had a great game, and that was the night. And so it's funny you say he was watching on tape delay at their house.
I'll say
afterwards.
that one
Yeah.
just as another way to tell the Mike Fulton story. I was there the night they lost to Wilson, 80-75. Mike's last game
Yeah.
as a varsity player. We actually just talked about this at the Marin Athletic Foundation Hall of Fame banquet that I emceed.
Yes.
And that's one of those nights I'll never forget when they lost. They lost to Wilson.
I've mentioned this a number of times, but Chris Fulton texted me that they were, in his 3 years, they were 93-3.
Right.
So like losing, that team did not lose. So that was,
And that's kind of like your record in extending crunch time.
to be fair, my friend Dan Dibley has contributed to the extension of the crunch time.
Without a doubt. 2 of those losses must have been Chris's senior year.
Yeah.
Which happened because he
Right.
lost once as a junior.
Exactly.
0 times as a senior.
Okay, most memorable sporting event you've ever attended?
Wow. Great question. I would say the 2010 Masters. Hello, friends.
Oh, hello.
I was there with my brother Mike. We went all week. And Phil Mickelson, when he won his second.
His second one, okay.
His second, yeah. You can actually see my brother as Phil is walking off on 18. That was just one of those special bucket list things.
That's amazing.
I would also throw in the 2010 Kentucky Derby. I went with my late father, Dwayne. It was on his bucket list. And so I was able to put together a trip for my father and my 2 brothers and I. So
Wow.
I've been lucky. I've gone to a lot of great sporting events.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
All right, 2 more. Favorite gym in Marin?
Thought about this a lot. And I went over and over in my head about why this is my favorite, but it's the gym at St. Vincent's. And as a kid, I played there. Tile floor, Duff. I'm talking tile. Like,
Let me look at your knees.
oh no, brutal. And because I was a B player that's where we played. The A kids never played at St. Vincent's.
Well, Duffy was a B player until 8th grade when a backroom deal occurred, and he made the A team. We're going to talk
whatever.
about that
He'll
later.
listen to the pod. You don't have to spoil
Investigative reporting here.
it. Was
okay,
it was a definite backroom deal. It's St. Vincent's, and the
Okay.
Pavilion's a close second. And I do like the old pit at Marin Catholic, which predates both of you,
Yes.
you newbies. But for me, it's St. Vincent's. Not only because I played there on the tile, but now I ref there. And, you drive down the long lane, the
Yes.
tree-lined lane.
Totally.
And the stately church in the front. And you go all the way around the back. There's something magical about that place for me.
Totally.
Now, how is your hearing, having spent a lot of time in that gym? Because that has got to be the loudest
The acoustics.
Oh, yeah.
acoustic
The echo chamber.
buzzer that I've ever of any
Incredibly loud. And I do have fond memories of Michelle Brevelli, 8th grade A final against Damon. I cannot remember her last name. She went to Marin Catholic.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
St. Pat's against St. Sylvester's. Many a clash. And she talked about having her dad in the top row. And her mom, I can still hear her chewing on me.
Yeah, coaching.
Oh, my God. She was all over me. But I got a lot of memories as a player and a ref at St. Vincent's.
That's great. That's a great answer. All right, last one. Favorite Marin County restaurant when you were growing up?
Santa Fe Joe's.
Okay.
And it was our tradition every Friday night because MCAL's was Tuesday and Friday. Back when they played double round robin, don't get me started because I could do a whole podcast on the atrocity that is the schedule.
Yes.
And I heard Michelle Brevelli and great points made by all.
Yeah.
Double round robin, 14 games, bring it back. Although there's 9 teams now, I get it. Our Friday night tradition, you watch Doug and the Drake team, you go to Santa Fe Joe's.
So Santa Fe Joe's on 4th Street, still there. We talked about Marin Joe's, or I don't know if that episode has come out. Another, I think that was Con and Chad. Marin Joe's along 101, another great restaurant. But Santa Fe Joe's, classic. Still go there all the time.
Really obvious potential sponsors, too, when you think about it.
Call us, Joe's.
Yeah. Honorable mention to Deer Park Villa. I love Deer Park Villa, but Santa Fe Joe's is where we would go every Friday night. I'd get the gnocchi. My mom would get the cheeseburger on the sourdough roll.
Nice.
Only eat half of it.
I like the they
I'd
still
scoop and score.
they still have the
They
still have the quote unquote diet plate, which is a hamburger patty and cottage cheese.
Of course. Yeah.
That's the diet plate at Santa Fe Joe's. All right, Dibs. We seriously could talk for another couple hours and wouldn't even scratch the surface. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being a listener and for supporting us. It means a lot. Thank you for all of your stories. We might need to have you on for round 2. I think we will.
I would love it. I thank you guys both for doing this because not only for me, I'm sure for many, many people, it is like a time machine. And, when you listen to your guests and they're telling stories and they're enlightening the young people. And I do like when you guys talk about, the 1-3 pick and roll and all the other nuance of basketball. It's educational.
Yeah.
But for me, the memory lane stuff is great.
That's great.
Is great, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Enjoy. Everybody listen to Dibs on 95.7.
2 to 6.
2 to 6 p.m.
Keep it locked.
Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
95.7 The Game. All right. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Well, Dave, that was pretty fun, and I was only there for, I believe, about half of it. But I have subsequently listened to the whole interview, and fantastic. It's great to have the Dibber on. I won't say no to the Dibber if he wants to come back on and talk some more. I would love to hear more about Hurricane Gale and 101.7 The Bone. But anyway, Dave, what did you think? I thought you did a great job with the interview. I'm sure you have some takeaways for us.
Thank you, Duff. Yeah, a lot of fun. It was hard to not snort and laugh audibly during Dibs' stories. Well, to start, I mean, how great were the Fairfax Pavilion stories and retrospective, right? I mean, again, Duff, you and I met there. And so Dan's stories about weekends going down there, going to the bakery, 5 a.m., getting your donut, and then walking up the hill to the pavilion, knowing it was open. It was great. And I'm sure you, Duff, have memories of the pavilion as well.
Yeah, a lot of nostalgia there, and nostalgia that I didn't even realize that I was missing out on, in terms of like living across the creek from the Fultons and, the time at the pavilion. And obviously you and I met at the pavilion. We talked about that, or you talked about that in the interview, Dave. I can tell you, because I've been in the pavilion recently, last year, we rented it out for a period of time for our San Domenico team that it's no longer always open, Dave. You can't just walk in. Now you have to go down to the police department, get a key, and leave your driver's license. And when you show up to unlock it, there might be someone sleeping on the front porch. However, rest assured, it is still cold. It is still drafty. There's probably going to be a puddle on the, I believe that is the north end of the floor that you might want to put a trash can out to catch the drip from above. And it's still really loud when you turn on the heat. So those things haven't changed. So,
I played pickup
memories
at the Pavilion. Yeah, I played pickup there a couple months ago, and I hadn't stepped foot in that building in 20 years. And it just, the smell right away brought me back to being a kid and working out with Fulton and you and CB and Dave Granucci. And it's a historic building. So very fun to hear Dan tell those stories. I loved the whole Drake 82 team anecdotes. I was cracking up at him talking about strolling around pirate camp like Mutt and Jeff with Mike Hayward, and he was the hype man. But then just, Dibbs being the ball boy, sitting on the bench during the 82 team games. Great stories, and what a storyteller. So I thought that was great.
Yeah. And some anecdotes with the characters that we know and have heard a bunch about, like Doug Donnellan, changing the marquee, right? I mean, that you can just almost you can visualize that conversation as it went down.
Yep, that was hilarious. The Gremlins to the Muppets Take Manhattan fiasco. I love the Michelle Bravelli bullying scandal. Michelle, we'll have to talk about that, about you bullying little Danny Dibley into coaching volleyball at Drake. But you can see why Dan has built a career doing what he does. He's quick-witted. He's so easy telling stories. He's very funny. He's very insightful. And my story, Duff, is 100% true. We would sit in the summer league, the high school summer league at Drake. And I remember vividly being waiting for my game to start. And we're sitting up in the rafters in the Drake gym, and Dibley is sitting there, and he just starts announcing the game to nobody. But he's making up stories like they were maybe, Terra Linda's playing Casa Grande or something. We don't know any of the guys on Casa Grande, and Dibley's just making up their names and stories. And we were dying laughing, and totally unsurprised that he went on to a career doing what he does.
Was he doing it in the style of Howard Cosell?
Absolutely. He was doing it like this. Here we go. Johnson down the lane. Oh, fouled.
Beautiful.
And then finally, I mean, Duff, we broke scandal on the podcast. I mean, the whole, we'll call it St. Rita's Gate, where Dibley made the A team due to a backroom deal. I mean, I don't know, frontline.
First and only time
involved.
In CYO that's such a thing has happened.
Unprecedented. Yeah. So thank you, Dibbs. Really appreciate you taking the time and being a listener. Dibbs told us that he truly listens to the pod. That's awesome. He just texted me yesterday giving me feedback and advice on something that I always say that I shouldn't say.
He listened to this episode though? Is he one of those people that likes to hear themselves talk?
I'm sure he'll listen. Yeah. I'm sure he'll give it a listen. So
he gave us a player control as well, Dave, right? He did not go to Drake, right? Hurricane Gale went to Drake, but not the Dibber. So
his three siblings went to Drake. Dibber did not. Speaking of which, great segue, Duff, into player control.
Yes, that's what I was aiming for, Dave.
Way to go. That's why you're the man. So I have a player control. Actually, it is on behalf of our friend Rick Winter. Rick has texted me. He wanted to add to his comment on what he referred to as the golden era of Marin coaches. When Rick was coaching, he was at MC from 95 to 2010, I believe. And he, in the interview, mentioned himself, Donnellan, Jonas Honick, Brett Tavani, and Farbstein. And he said, I was remiss to not mention the following. Tom Bonfigley at Justin Siena, great coach, still coaching, not at Justin Siena. I believe he's at St. Vincent de Paul. Reed Nottingham at Novato, Mike Gragnani at Redwood, Craig Pitti at San Marin, who we talked about with Chad and Con, and Tony Butler, who was coaching the boys at San Rafael at that time. Tony, now the San Marin girls coach. So Rick said every night was an X's and O's battle. So thank you, Rick, for the player control.
Thank you, but I'm not sure I'm buying the golden era. I mean, if that was the golden era, are we in the diamond era now or the platinum era? Platinum?
Sure.
Yeah, I think we're, yeah.
Duff, I think we're in the platinum era of assistant coaches right now.
Right. Yes. And by the way, Brandon Johnson, Gabe Killian, great assistant coaches at Archie. It takes a village of assistant coaches to give your head coach at least one or two nuggets of advice per game.
True. Very true. Good players too.
Yeah.
You got anything else, Duff?
I want to thank our sponsors, and I want to thank our listeners. And repeat the call for correspondence, and shoot us an email at therunTMCpodcast@gmail.com. Check us out on Instagram. Check us out on LinkedIn. And check out the website. Thank you, Angela Ballard, for keeping that updated. therunTMCpodcast.com.
Awesome. And now back to Luke Estrican and Stroke 9 to take us out.
Yeah,
Thanks again to Dibs, and we'll talk soon.
This guy walks into a little saloon and sits down. He draws the eyes of all the locals of this small town. He looks damn normal to me. Bandana on his head, Birks on his feet. He looks up and gives me a grin and says, "Hey dude, you too must be from Marin." Marin County's A-OK, from Tam to Stinson all the way to MA. Fresh organic veggies in the market every day.